Welcome to the Nurse Shark Academy Show, a Baxter Professional Services production. Welcome to the Nurse Shark Academy Show, where we're experts in nursing and experts in business. I'm Tina Baxter, your host. The Nurse Shark Academy Show highlights nurse business owners and others in the healthcare field who promote entrepreneurship. Today's episode is how one nurse expat learned to do hard things as a nurse entrepreneur. And today's guest is Angela Johnson. Welcome to the Nurse Shark Academy.
To be or do or experience something else, we should know that we still have the foundation to be able to build whatever that looks like. Right? We're not telling you to leave the bedside, but if you need to, if you want to, like now, like if my family dynamic needed me to do something else right now, and then I probably needed it too deep down, but as moms and nurses, we think about so many other people before ourselves. So I've greatly benefited from this experience, but what really called me to it was my family needs my time. My family needs a different structure. We need to spend more time together. So knowing that I have the nursing skills to be able to build whatever we need to make, whatever we need to do, because we're more powerful than we remember.
What was one of the biggest lessons you learned when you first started your business?
First thing that comes to mind is that I can do hard things. Not in the sense that I didn't know I could do hard things. But yeah, I can do hard things. Like business just felt big to me. Being a business owner felt really far off for me. So once I stepped into that and every day I did a little piece, I'm like, oh, that was successful. That feels amazing. And then I tackled the next piece of building, and I bought into the whole delusional business owner thing because it just felt so right and so aligned and so meant to be for me that nothing could really stop me.
Nurses, are you ready for more? My mission is for you to own your seat at the table of nurse entrepreneurship, gaining confidence, skills, and the freedom to live your life on your own terms. Assisting you in achieving your goals through tailored advice, continuous learning, and a collaborative approach is at the heart of everything I do. Stop being eaten alive. Come feel the sun. Be a nurse shark. And welcome to the Nurse Shark Academy Show. I'm Tina Baxter, your host. The Nurse Shark Academy Show highlights nurse business owners and others in the healthcare field who promote entrepreneurship. We invite you to come and listen to our nurse leaders and hear their wonderful story. Today's guest is Angela Johnson of Kudzu Collaborations, LLC. She is a empowered wellness coach, and she helps those who are ready to change direction and start over and find their own path to wellness. Welcome to the show, Angela.
Thank you so much for having me. It's so nice to see you again, Tina.
Oh, it's great to be able to talk to you. Now, I always like to start the show off by asking that first question of what made you become a nurse. But the first thing I decided to ask you, I just changed it up on you, is how are you enjoying Greece? She's from Connecticut, y'all, but she's over in Greece with her family. How's it going right now?
I thought that might be the first question, so I'm kind of prepared too. When I say that, it's often a wait a minute. We are doing good. I have a 9-year-old and a 4.5-year-old, so it's us and my husband, and it's really been a true lifestyle change in all the best ways. So I really dove into lifestyle medicine with this change because we don't have a car. We walk everywhere. There's stairs. We have vegetable and fruit stands we visit every day. We're out in the sun. We spend time together. There's an awesome community here, kindness. So kind of all the things we wish we could find, I happen to find on this little Greek island. So we are doing amazing.
Oh, that's wonderful. So we'll get back to that, y'all. I just thought I'd throw that in there. So now you're curious about what's happening, but we're going to go back to the original first question is, what made you become a nurse?
So nursing kind of found me in a sense, but it's funny because my mom would always tell me from a very young age that I was going to end up being a nurse or a doctor. And I was like, no. I got my bachelor's in psychology, and the natural next step was to go get your master's and be a psychiatrist or whatnot. And at that kind of roadblock, it didn't feel right to go right to grad school. So I did the whole gap year, take a year off, see where life leads me. And I kept running into psych nurses at some point. And you don't hear a lot about mental health nursing when you picture a nurse. it's always like emergency or, the TV shows. Mental health nursing wasn't something on my radar. So once I heard that, it was the opportunity to still be impactful, helpful, life changing in a career that I hadn't heard of, but sounded like it was for me. So then I went to nursing school and got my associates. Back in the time when associates was enough, but I ended up going back to my bachelor's a couple years ago, actually to seal the deal.
All right. Well, you know what though? You already had a degree in psychology, so it's not like you didn't
Mm-hmm.
have a bachelor's degree.
Yeah.
And funny enough, I have a degree in biology, which I had before went back and got my nursing degree, my bachelor's in nursing, but I also got a minor in psychology and became a psychiatric nurse.
Oh my god, you and me
Yeah,
both.
you know what? There's a certain amount of, I don't know, caring difference. It's different than
Mm-hmm.
your ER nurse because you're dealing with people's emotions and things that you can't see that sometimes are intangible, right?
Yep.
And a lot of times, when you're thinking of nursing and medicine, you're focused on fixing the problem. You see it, their blood pressure is high, you give them medicine, and blood pressure comes down. Your,
Mm-hmm.
your potassium's high, you give them medicine, you bring that potassium down.
Mm-hmm.
With mental health, it's you're helping them regulate their emotions. You're helping them with their symptoms of schizophrenia and maybe seeing things that aren't there, and helping them with their dementia and all that stuff. So it's a lot different. So you sometimes we don't see the end result in mental
Mm-hmm.
health that you can in some other nursing specialties.
Yeah.
Unless you happen to meet them out in the community, which happens to me occasionally. And I remember this one little boy running up to me and saying, "You're the nurse that put me in the hospital. Thank you." In the middle of the
You're welcome.
grocery store.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. It's about really being present in the moment and that kind of nursing, and you can't see the tangibility of it all, like you said. And you have to be aware of medications just as much, but it's really more in side effects and titration
Hmm.
and how are they acting with the psychiatrist versus how do they act normally. And it's funny, one of my last psychiatric mental health nurse roles was in the emergency department, and it was
Hmm.
attached to the other emergency department. And I would love the nurses who would have to flow over, and they would absolutely hate it. It was like, oh, I have to go to the psych section. I don't want to go. Because you're right. I mean, we're a special group of people that actually enjoy being in that world
Hmm.
with people who are going through that. But it's definitely not for everyone.
No, when you're and I have to say there is a certain amount of adrenaline that happens in psychiatry because you never know what your day
Mm-hmm.
is going to be like. It's like being in geriatrics, right? I know that
Mm-hmm.
whatever I walk into, it's not going to be the same,
Mm-hmm.
but you have to have an awareness about yourself. This is where the ER nursing kind of has that same thing where you don't know what type of situation you're going to walk into. And so you have to be aware of your surroundings at all times when you're working in those type of environments. And if you're used to going in there and just fixing the thing,
Mm-hmm.
and it takes a while to fix the thing when you're in mental health. It's not a one and done, give this pill, you're fine, go home, you're cured. It takes a lot. And this is what I explain to my patients too. I said, hey, it takes a while. You have to work on these
Mm-hmm.
things. You have to work through these feelings. You have to understand what the depression is about and what triggered it and the grief that you have over the loss of your loved one or whatever it is. This takes time. And I
Yeah.
tell the people that are going through addiction because that's another issue that in mental health that a lot of people don't like to talk about. I said, you didn't become addicted to these substances overnight. Most of the time, it was gradual, subtle, and it took a while to get to the place where you're knocking off the CVS to get what you want, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I say to them, I said, take take the time to heal. Don't try to rush the process. It may take some time. I mean, you didn't get broken overnight. You're not going to get fixed overnight, right?
Yeah.
So I tell people that. I say, and I don't mean broken in that you are, you know, there's something drastically wrong with you. There's your health, your overall health is broken, not you as a person, but your overall health and well-being at this time is fractured. And how do we
Yeah.
get back together so that you're back whole? And that's a
Yeah.
different mindset. So yeah, so when you went to school, so you said you got your degree in psychology. Where did you go to school?
I went to Central Connecticut State University.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't have a nursing program back then, I don't think. I don't know. But now it's a robust kind of nursing program that they do offer. But yeah, I graduated in, oh my God, 2013? 2013 maybe? No, wait, that's not right. 2008. 2008 when I graduated with my bachelor's.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so what was your very first nursing job when you got out of your ADN program? What was your very first nursing job?
So I went to get my ADN in a town called Bridgeport, which is like an inner city. I did not grow up in a city, but I would drive an hour away to go to
Mm-hmm.
school. So my first job was actually a visiting mental health nurse to adults and children in the city. So that's what I did. And my dad, we joke about it now because he obviously feared for my safety, but he never told me. Like, he never stopped me. He was encouraging. But when I left that job, he was like, honestly, I don't know how you did that. He's like, I worried about you every day. But for me, it was just like, okay, like, I'm going to go to these people's homes. I'm going to help them in their home. I didn't think anything of it, but it's funny to look back on it. Like, that was your first job, and you're in a city that you don't live in. Like, you're in an environment that you're not used to. I rarely parallel parked, but, I did it. And I was surprised, but I think you're right. It definitely takes a person with a certain degree of patience and positivity and compassion. I mean, all those other things, kindness, all that, which a nurse is. But so you get psychiatric nursing is that extra step above. And it's funny you said addiction because my last job that I left was actually in withdrawal management, so addiction recovery. So you and I followed similar paths
Yeah.
within the mental health field.
Yeah, my very first nursing job was working intensive psych, inpatient, which I got to see a lot
Yeah.
of stuff because we had medical patients over there that were on the psych unit. So we've had IVs going. We've had a guy in respiratory failure that I had to fight to get off the unit. I'm like, he took his trach out again. He cannulating himself, and then his O2 sats would drop dangerously low. And I'm like, we can't keep him on the psychiatric, and he can't die up here.
Yeah.
You
Yeah, I
can't. You
remember
can't.
advocating, like, you can't keep them here. I
Yeah,
hear
you
you, but
cannot
this is
keep
not
him
safe.
here. I
Yeah.
did do some with the public health service, and I don't know if they still have these services, but it would be great if they did. We took a trip to Washington D.C. as part of my BSN program,
Oh.
and it was our missions trip, and we worked on Skid Row. Basically, we went to a lot of homeless shelters and things like that, and provided some nursing services like blood pressure screenings and stuff like that for individuals who were homeless or unhoused. And we also had time to go out with the public health service to find people out in the community who needed their mental health medications and make sure they took their medications. So a lot of these people were court mandated for services. And we had to go find them in the community to make sure they took their psych meds.
Wow.
So it was kind of interesting to do that. Just kind of go out and look for them. And they were very careful, don't wear your white lab coat. Because I'd worked in home care. So I kind of knew some of that. I worked as a home health, and you don't wear your white lab coat to make yourself a target, that type of thing. And so you just have your little name tag that you pull out when you're going to the home. But it was an interesting time to do some of that things. And I can imagine going and giving people their medications. And I wish that we had those teams like we used to, where we would send psychiatric nurses out to the homes to make sure people stay med compliant.
Yeah, it's a good lesson on boundaries, like to your point, the little things we have to do to stay safe. And I think just recently in Connecticut, there was a story of one nurse who unfortunately lost her life on a visit, but that was the first time in either a very, very long time or if ever. But it's a good lesson on boundaries, where to park, how to stay safe, what to wear, always stand by the door, never keep your back to whatever. For sure. And I have many a story. I've done inpatient. I've done a neuroscience floor. I got my certification in neuroscience nursing. So I have many a story, but I think the best part about mental health is the teamwork. I loved the teamwork of mental health work because you need every single person to keep everybody safe. It's definitely a special group of people that can do it, and that group is so special, for sure. But I have many a story. But it's also been one of my fondest memories of the nursing work that I've done for sure.
Okay. Okay. And so, you it sounds like you did a variety of different things because I was just kind of looking at your bio here, and I was thinking, okay, so you've worked in the hospital. You've done management. It sounds like you've worked in other areas. How did you get to becoming an entrepreneur? Where did that come about?
So it definitely happened a lot faster than I thought it would. Naturally, the next step to entrepreneurship when you're a nurse is become an APRN. You can work for yourself, or you can work in a practice that allows you to be more independent. But APRN school never felt right timing wise, or spending the money to go back to school never felt right to me. So it was never something I put on my vision board and I said next year. But then my daughter last July asked to go to Greece for her birthday. And I found myself saying the standard middle class answer of absolutely not. We can't just plan a trip in a month so you can go to Greece. We don't do that. Where's that money coming from? All the
Mm-hmm.
things. But that no just felt really heavy for some reason. And I found myself just in a space of, why can't we? What is this feeling? Why can't we go? And then my husband did research and said, we should move there. And I said, what is happening between the two of you? And then it just turned into something that became more of a why not. And I had to look for a space to be able to still work as a nurse, but work remotely to give us the freedom to try this out, see what it's like, kind of come back to each other, realign as a family, have this experience, and then grow from there. So I found probably a Facebook ad from the Nurse Coach Collective on becoming a nurse coach. And I honestly had never heard of this segment of nursing before. So I thought it was one of those things too good to be true. I'm not one to click on Facebook ads. So I'm skeptical of everything at this point. But I clicked on it. I talked to people who have done it. I looked more into it. It's an actual board certification, something we sit for and get credentialed for. And it felt like I was meant to do this. I was meant to be here as a nurse coach, honing all of the things that I'm great at and that I don't, and that I love using, like my positivity, my patience, my compassion, my ability to believe in growth for everyone, no matter where you are. And it kind of brings me back to my roots of nursing, why we are nurses, all the power we have as nurses, that kind of the healthcare system has started to strip away a little bit. Just in how I was working. I was working nights. I was working 7P to 7A. I
Yeah.
barely saw my husband. When I saw my kids, I was tired because I should be sleeping, but you feel guilty. And you tell yourself that it's worth it. You know, I'm making more money on nights. It's all going to pay off in a few years. All the things you have to convince yourself that kind of struggle or whatever you're in is worth it. It means you're doing it right. You know, we have the house, we have the cars, we have the good neighborhood, we have community. But just stepping back, it's like, what else can I do with nursing, with what I love, to also give back to my family and to myself and pour from a full cup. So now I'm a nurse coach.
Okay. So I guess, so how long have you been in Greece?
January 4th or something, 3rd or 4th.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
we're going on 8 months.
All right. And so, all right. So the plan is to remain in Greece at the moment.
So it's funny, when we left, my daughter was all on board, all excited. But then the closer it got, like, oh, we're selling our house. We're not going to come back here. And like, so it turned into, we're going to go and see. If we're happy, we'll stay. If we're not happy, you know, the world is our option. We can always come back. So
Mm-hmm.
that's kind of where we're at. We are happy now. So coming back isn't something we're going to do like next month. But yeah, the plan is just to stay where we can exist as a family in a space that feels good to us, in a way that we feel aligned and connected, and I guess at peace, as cheesy as that sounds. Because life happens, you know, things
Mm-hmm.
come up. Not all rainbows over here. It's just a different location.
Yeah. Yeah.
Kids are still kids. Life is still life.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but it just feels right for us. So that's kind of the space I've been in. And
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah, I was just curious, why Greece? I mean, was and the reason I'm getting into that because I want nurses to hear that you don't have to be tied to
Mm-hmm.
geographical location. So,
Yep.
what made Greece the place? Was it, did you see a movie or something? Is your family Greek? You know.
Nope. It was just my daughter. She was using her iPad, and the maps on the iPad are very in depth. You can like zoom in, and it'll show you pictures, all the
Hmm.
things. So she was just looking at her map, and she's like, "I really like Greece. I really like these pictures. I really want to go there." And we were like, "Okay." I didn't have a passport. My kids didn't have a passport. We were not big travelers. This was not on our vision board to live overseas one day. It was just my daughter kind of sparked this ignition of, well, why not? What else? What could we do? And the whole point of staying, nursing isn't really taught to be away from the bedside in a sense. Like there's home care, and now there's more digital informatics. You can work from home as chart review. So there are things that have opened up to be away from the bedside. But this learning curve is just business. Like we're not taught that we can do more within our scope, I guess is probably the best way to say it.
There is, you're right, because there is a big push right now and a big talk about nursology and reclaiming our nursing roots with our own research,
Mm-hmm.
not borrowing as much from other disciplines, which is unfortunately what we've kind of grad- gradually drifted to. And so
Mm-hmm.
now the shift of that pendulum is coming back to where we're going to talk about what we do as nurses and start to really focus in on what it is to be a nurse and the study of what nursing is and our own nursing theories. And so,
Mm-hmm.
with that shift, there's also been a bigger shift towards entrepreneurship. And you're right, because when I started out as an entrepreneur, there weren't a lot of people out there talking specifically to nurses. There were a few people.
Mm-hmm.
Katie Harris is one of them. I had her on my show, the nurse entrepreneur. I had her on my show, but there weren't a lot of people that were specifically talking about business principles other unless you went back and the push was to go back and get a graduate degree and get an MBA.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But an MBA really doesn't teach you entrepreneurship.
Mm-hmm.
It does not. It teaches you to work in the corporate structure, but not necessarily entrepreneurship. So if you're the nurse that's out there and you're creating crafts that you want to sell online, you make jewelry, how do you market to your audience? How do you find customers? How do you build a plan? How do you get your own bank account? Those are practical things that a lot of places just weren't able to do. And then if you're going to do something that's healthcare focused and you're a nurse, what does that mean about regulations, licensure, insurances, all
Mm-hmm.
those different things? And so you're right, we aren't taught a lot of that. And in fact, in my advanced practice training, we had a like a 1 hour credit course that talked about entrepreneurship, and basically it was like 3 or 4 lectures on if you want to set up your own shop and hang out your shingle, this is how you do it. But nobody actually told me how to get started in practice. I had to find that out and figure that out on my own when I
Mm-hmm.
got out. And so I say that to people. I don't want other people to have to go through that, which is why I founded Nurse Shark Academy. So we can talk about those
Mm-hmm.
basic things. I've worked with a lot of great business coaches, but they came from places like retail and automotive industry
Mm-hmm.
and places like that that don't understand the landscape of healthcare. And so they would ask me to do things that you can't do, like self referral. No, that's illegal. We can't.
Mm-hmm. I
That's
choose me.
Yeah, so you have to be
Yeah.
very careful about how you
Yeah.
position yourself and what you do. So I can't like go pay a marketer out there and say, okay, go find me patients and bring me patients. That is not how that works. That's not a
Yeah.
good way. What we can do is talk about the practice and say, hey, if you want to come, we're open, we're taking new patients. But we can't go out and say, hey, John Smith, you own a home care agency. If you refer all your patients to me, I'll give you XYZ dollars. No, that doesn't work. That's illegal. But a
Yeah.
lot of people don't
And
understand that.
and that concept too that you touched on, that we can be nurses and we can be a nurse and
Hmm.
something else. Like it's a culture of, if we're not giving all of our energy and all of our time and all of our gumption to nursing, to healthcare, to our patients, then we're not a nurse. If we're not only a nurse, we're not a nurse, but you could be a nurse and something else. So when I started to step away from the bedside to kind of show that I can make money remotely, I started with virtual assisting. So I started my business as a virtual assistant, and I was working as a virtual assistant for healthcare providers. So even that realm of location independence while still using your nursing background, your medical background, your healthcare experience and expertise, if you wanted to be a virtual assistant and up and move around the country, or you finally wanted to do the RV life or get a camper, you can still work in healthcare in a different way. And I don't think a lot of nurses see we can be nurses and whatever that other piece of you wants to do for the life that you want to live.
Well, one of the things is, I work as a legal nurse consultant. And a lot of times nurses think of, oh, okay, well, you're not doing nursing. Well, actually, I still practice clinically. But, people who step away from the bedside, think, well, I'm not really doing nursing anymore. No, you are. You're just doing it in a different way. Keep those same skills that you've learned from nursing, and then try to turn it into something that the marketplace needs. And sometimes we don't know that we need. So, for example, on my show, there's a nurse, and she is the founder of Spigot Guard, and she makes these little hubs that put on the end of Foley catheters. So you remember way back in the day in nursing school, we were taught that when you empty the Foley catheter bag, the drainage bag, you wipe the little end with the alcohol wipe. They're not teaching that anymore.
Yeah.
So now we're seeing infection rates go up. So what did she do? She said, I wonder if I can make a little device that goes on the end, like a little cap that already has the alcohol in there, so that it actually is keeping the infection rates down and just kind of like you do with IVs and all that stuff.
Yeah, that's the hard catheter.
She created that device. She's marketing it. She's been all over the world showing people her device. And she's right here, by the way, in Indiana, and she's opening up her business. And I think that's wonderful. So that's another episode you can check out with Spigot Guard and Carol. Listen to her story. It's awesome. So we've got that. So there's a lot of different things that you can do as nurses. And that's why I have this platform. I want nurses to know, hey, you don't have to just be by the bedside. And I'm not knocking bedside nurses. We need you desperately to be at the bedside, right? But if you have to step away for whatever reason, I had a nurse that had an autoimmune disorder. She was not able to continue working at the bedside because it was just physically too demanding. So she found a different way of helping other nurses that have, different disabilities, and how to still be nurses and work differently. So she does these wonderful retreats and empowerment seminars and all these different things that she does. And she's wonderful. And she was also on the show.
Yeah.
So I have people on the show that has different perspectives. I've learned so much from people all over the world about what they're doing. So I'm fascinated. So you are technically my very first nurse from Greece.
Yay! Well, I'm honored to be in the sea of all these lovely nurses that you've been describing. And yeah, bedside nursing is wonderful. We need it. It's great. It's amazing. Like you said, if your life pulls you to be or do or experience something else, we should know that we still have the foundation to be able to build whatever that looks like. Right? We're not telling you to leave the bedside, but if you need to, if you want to, like now, like if my family dynamic needed me to do something else right now, and then I probably needed it too deep down, but as moms and nurses, we think about so many other people before ourselves. So I've greatly benefited from this experience, but what really called me to it was my family needs my time. My family needs a different structure. We need to spend more time together. So knowing that I have the nursing skills to be able to build whatever we need to make, whatever we need to do, because we're more powerful than we remember.
What was one of the biggest lessons you learned when you first started your business?
First thing that comes to mind is that I can do hard things. Not in the sense that I didn't know I could do hard things. But yeah, I can do hard things. Like business just felt big to me. Being a business owner felt really far off for me. So once I stepped into that, and every day I did a little piece, and I'm like, oh, that was successful. That feels amazing. And then I tackled the next piece of building, and I say I bought into the whole delusional business owner thing because it just felt so right and so aligned and so meant to be for me that nothing could really stop me. So then I felt like I was part of the club of people who have businesses because it's what they want to do and they're so passionate about it. It becomes who they are. So I definitely learned a new side of me, a sense, a bigger set of abilities that, like we were saying, we forget that we're capable of when we're stuck in believing we're just one thing and we're only good at one thing.
You know, when I first started my nursing journey, I was like, okay, I wanted to be the manager, then I wanted to be all the way up to CEO. That was my whole plan, right?
Wow.
Then I got into management, and then I was like, yeah, no.
I hear that a lot. I do hear that a lot.
No, I said I'm going to go into education. So I, got my degree in nursing education. And then I was like, I want to be a nurse practitioner. So I got my postmaster's as a nurse practitioner. And I got into it and I thought, okay, I'm settled in. This is what I want to do. And then the opportunity happens. And I think a lot of times what happens is there's an opportunity. Just like you got an opportunity to go to Greece. This was an opportunity for me to start a business. I was in between jobs. I had left a position that was a very toxic environment, and I'm very glad I escaped from there. And so I left that position. So I was in between jobs. I was trying to find a job, and I was thinking about writing a book. It was a fiction book I was working on. And I needed a place to quiet to write. And then so my friend was starting a business, and she had rented this little townhouse, to start her business. And I said, hey, can I just rent a room? And so I can have this place to come in, just write, that it's away from everybody so I can concentrate. And then she kind of bamboozled me in becoming the COO of that company. And that's how I really got into entrepreneurship, is because I saw, I can create things. And then once I realized that my love was for building things and doing the thing and getting the ideas and being creative and seeing things grow and birth, and I really enjoyed that. So entrepreneurship was really a calling that I didn't know I had, even though I was a good side hustler. I had a side hustle for years. Still do, teaching CPR classes. Started that as a broke nursing student, right? Teaching CPR classes for cash. So anyway, so I really got into entrepreneurship, and the more I learned about being an entrepreneur, what that meant, and having your own business and how to do those things, the more it fed my soul, and I wanted to do that. So then more opportunities happen. So this is what I hear nurses, our listeners here. More opportunities happen. A lot of people are like, oh, you should do this business. You should do that business. Oh, this business might be a good venture. They sounded great. But then I realized I don't actually want to do and run those businesses per se. What I much rather do, and this is leaning back into my education background, is to help other nurses who really want to build and do those businesses, do those businesses. And that was my epiphany. Like there was a lice removal business that was a great franchise. I thought about investing into it. I was like, the person was making a lot of money, treating head lice. I had done it, had to, work in psychiatry. That's one of the things I had to deal with. And I thought, I don't want to be dealing with head lice every day. It would be miserable. Right. It was a great idea, right?
Needed, yeah, for sure.
Great franchise, good sound business plan. I wouldn't be happy doing it. And that's when it occurred to me, what really appealed to me about this idea was building something new. And so because of that, I thought, I honestly don't want to run the home care agency, but I actually want to help you build your home care agency so you can run it and do it well. And I don't actually, so I've learned some things about myself. What is it that makes me happy is to see other people win. I know that sounds crazy, but that kind of leans back into our first emphasis to be nurses is often to help people. We want to see people succeed. And I do the same thing. It's the same way I approach the education when I'm tutoring on the NCLEX or whatever else that I'm doing. I want to see you win. If you win, that means I win.
Yep.
And I think we need to cultivate that mentality more in nursing. There was an article on LinkedIn that I just happened across right before we hopped on here, and she was talking about, it's another legal nurse consultant, and she was talking about how she was being bullied by another legal nurse consultant online. You know how we do that.
I
How
believe it.
we continue to do that as nurses.
Mm-hmm.
Have you experienced any pushback from any of your colleagues for you going into your own business, and then of course moving away and all that kind of stuff?
Um, I don't. I don't know if I block out the pushback or if there really hasn't been much. The job I left when I said I was going to go do this, they were my colleagues, other nurses, were actually super supportive. And there were a couple nurses who had moved to America, so done the opposite, and they were like, "Oh, if I could go and do this, I would too." So it actually super supportive uh, community of nurses I was around. And then the more you dive into nurse entrepreneurship, the more you find people already doing it. So I really use LinkedIn to kind of build a community of people that I could see and inspire me in that whole like, oh, we're doing this. Like, that's amazing. It's like you said, you find people who are doing
Right.
amazing things, and then you feel like you can do that too. And they do say about business ownership is the best way to kind of learn about yourself. And I definitely feel like I've had that growth as a person. And I was not a big sharer in my personal life. I'm not a big like Facebook post with my family, my kids. In nursing, I like to be under the radar. Like my manager doesn't know my name. Like I love that. Like that's the nurse I want to be.
Right.
So in this, having to be forward and out there and marketing and talking about myself, that's huge for me. So it's really allowed me to grow from spaces that I thought were keeping me safe, but really were just keeping me small. Like you don't know really kind of until you pick your head up and you look around like, oh,
Hmm.
that was me. So I've had a lot of those moments along the way, but not really anyone who's tried to put me down or stop me when it comes to leaving. Yeah.
And that's good, because I think more and more we've been aware of nurse bullying and the whole nurses eat their young,
Forever.
like, forever.
Mm-hmm.
But I think more and more the conversation is shifting to no more, right?
Yeah.
I've talked to the
Finally.
founder of Nurses Feed Their Young, and she was also on the show.
Mm-hmm.
I keep saying this because there's a lot of people that I've met on LinkedIn, Alignable, and other places, other social media platforms, that have come on the show and share with me what they're doing. And I'm fascinated that we're all seem to kind of be working towards a better profession of nursing and
Mm-hmm.
coming back to our roots as nurses. And so I'm encouraged by that. I'm encouraged by the conversations that I hear from nurses that are coming up the ranks, or saying, hey, how come we're doing these things? Why are we so, negative? Can't we do more? And could we do more? And so I'm encouraged by that. And I see
Mm-hmm.
that, again, a shift in what we're doing and how we're thinking, and even approaching education as a whole. As a nurse, how are we educating our nurses? I've
Mm-hmm.
noticed that there's more um, uh, emphasis on collaboration with other healthcare professions, with
Mm-hmm.
understanding that we aren't in our silos, and nurses are not the handmaidens of the doctor.
Yeah.
We are our own profession with our own
Yep.
standards, our own ethics, our own
Mm-hmm.
everything. Um, and it was interesting because this is something I don't hear a lot talked about anymore, but nursing judgment and doing nursing interventions, that you don't need to get permission from the doctor to do certain things, like give somebody,
Mm-hmm.
a blanket, have them get up and, there's some things that we just know that's a nursing intervention that you don't necessarily need an order for every
Yep.
last thing.
Yep.
And I think we're getting back to that and recognizing that, because corporate healthcare has kind of taken that out of our system of, oh no, we just do everything by check boxes and algorithms and everything like that. So
Yeah.
now we're trying to re-embrace that caring aspect of nursing that has been so lost in this
Yeah.
digital transformation. So how do you bring that caring aspect of nursing, and how you work with your patients, and what is it that you do with your business that really impacts the life of your patients?
So I think it tenfold brings it back to patient centered care, kind of like you were saying. I don't have any boxes to fill. I don't have an agenda to meet where my manager is going to come find me if this and that's not done. My only agenda is what my patients need from the space that we create together. So nurse coaching allows me to bring someone in, allow them to take a breath, and really have them set their goals of their choosing at their own pace. Because the best way to enact that long-term change and the evolution, the transformation, is by you doing stuff that you want to do, that aligns with you, that makes you happy. You know, if going to the doctor for the 10 minutes you get to talk to them, it's, oh, you didn't lose weight this time. Okay, well, maybe in 6 months when I see you again, like schedule an appointment. There's that emptiness of wanting connection in a space where someone wants you to be well and has the time to sit with you to create that plan and just see where the conversation takes you and see what you really want to do to improve your health, improve your wellness, and just understanding that you're a whole person. It's not just the number on the scale. It's not just what you look like in the mirror. It's not just, you know, what your blood pressure is, but it's all related. And when you start thinking of it as different cups and different aspects of you that need your attention, as you cater to them, others will fill too. And as you make those changes, you'll see the results in your overall wellness, and then you can reprioritize as you go. You know, if walking 10 miles a week isn't something you can prioritize now, what can get you to walking 1 mile a week? What can we do that'll get you then to 2 miles a week? Oh, you've realized that you could do this, and then we add that to it. But it's wellness on what my clients want to do and where they want to start, not just on what they think they should do or what people are telling them they should do. And I think it gives back the space, like you said, where nurses are allowed to be caring, compassionate healers that promote wellness, not in just our patients, but in their environments, kind of meeting them where they're at. And I think we're all missing and really wanting a space like that. So that's my favorite part.
I think there's a definite need to bring us back to the whole idea of holistic practices. Mm-hmm. It's not just treating the high blood pressure. Mm-hmm. That's important. But then what about the lifestyle changes that need to happen to treat the high blood pressure? Mm-hmm. Are you eating the right foods? Can you source the right foods? You know, are you having economic problems? Are you relying on food mm-hmm. pantries and things like that you can only get prepackaged high salt containing foods? You know, are you living every day on ramen? You know, what is it that we can do to make that small change to make your life better and empower you as an individual to take ownership of your own health?
Exactly.
And that is so important.
So that's what I'm trying to do out here.
All right. So how would someone who's interested, if anybody's listening, mm-hmm. and you're interested in your services, how would they contact you and get involved with your service?
So I am on Instagram and Facebook at Kudzu Collaborations LLC. It's K-U-D as in dog, Z as in zebra, U. It's actually a kind of vine and I love the inspiration of a vine because vines can grow out of anywhere. You know, I think we picture them often out of cement for no reason, but they grow out of anywhere and they always grow up. So my theme is root deep, reach high, and grow strong. And I think we're all capable of that. So you can find my Instagram and Facebook, and my website is kudzucollab.com. KUDZUCOLLAB.com. And you can book a time to meet. I offer a 60 to 90 minute free session because I really want people to feel what it's like to be in a space like this that I can create for them. So it's not a 20-minute call to see what's wrong with you, because my space really doesn't focus on what's wrong with you. I'm not here to diagnose you. I'm not here to dredge up your past issues. I'm here to help you sit present in the moment and what's going on with you, and we're here to move forward. So my space is really a gift, and I hope you keep coming back for more of that experience with me, but I would love to see you for 60, 90 minutes and see how we can get you feeling and moving forward.
Okay, so in the show notes, I'll put a link to her Instagram and Facebook and her website where you can get that 60 to 90 minute appointment. And I'll make sure I'll have that link there for that. And so anybody's listening, take advantage of that and let them know that you came through the show, just to let them know where you came from. Again, it's great that you're offering that to our guests. There's no commitment according to your
Mm-hmm.
information, so that'll be in the in the show notes. But I encourage you to take advantage of it. And I have to say, I had a chance of attending my own wellness type session. I went through an inner healing session with someone, which was
Mm-hmm.
so helpful and beneficial for me to kind of process what I was going through with the ending of a business relationship, right? And I had to process the anger and the resentment that was there, and the fact that I had no one to actually listen to what I was trying to say. I just was so frustrated
Mm-hmm.
that nobody was listening. And so, if you have a chance to do something for your own mental health or physical health, this is a great chance to do that. I encourage you to take advantage of this session that she has. Okay, so last question. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
If you had a piece of advice for a budding nurse entrepreneur, what would it be?
First thing that comes to mind is believe in yourself and try. Like you said, your entrepreneurship led you down a road that ultimately led you to the full circle moment of what you wanted to do, and just the belief that you can do more and try the thing. I've met nurses who are now like accountants and are kicking butt over there and with numbers like math and accounting and things like that. So like I said, we can do anything and we're allowed to be nurses. And so what else can you use that nursing degree to add to the world? I think our point as nurses is to add value, to add hope, to add healing, to add growth. And there are, like I said, different areas of wellness that nurses can help with. It's not just when people are at their sickest or at their worst. Our job is to promote wellness and healing at every stage of life. So I encourage every nurse to believe in themselves.
There you have it. Believe in yourself. Nursing is our superpower. All right.
It is.
So I want to thank you, Angela, for being here with us today. This has been so great. I'm so excited to hear more about what you're doing in the future. Enjoying yourself in Greece, and I know that the food is probably going to taste a whole lot better um,
It's amazing.
because we don't add, they don't add all the additives that we add
No.
here.
Yeah.
I've had other expats talk about the food that's better in other places because of the lack of, the nutrients
Mm-hmm.
that we have in our food. So I'm glad that you were able to join us here today. If you want to hear more and learn more about Angela, don't forget to check out our show notes. If you are watching us on YouTube, please hit a like and subscribe to our show. And just let you know we do have special content that's available on our YouTube channel and also on Podbean, so you can get your audio podcast wherever you get your podcast. We do have special behind the scenes episodes. We also have our leadership conversations where we talk about business principles. That's available only to our subscribers and our members that are patrons of our show. So if you want to become a patron of our show, please consider that. Support the show so we can talk to more nurses on this platform and promote it even further. I want to thank you for your time and tuning in. I will see you next time. And then again, don't forget to like and share our content. We thank you so much for being here at the Nurse Shark Academy show.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye for now. Ready to turn your nursing skills into a thriving business? At the Nurse Shark Academy, we give you expert strategies, real startup guidance, and the support to go from employee to empowered entrepreneur. Join us and build the nurse-owned business of your dreams. Start today and join us at the NurseSharkAcademy.biz. Thank you for listening to the Nurse Shark Academy show wherever you get your podcasts or watching us on YouTube. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and don't forget to hit the notification bell so that you'll know when all of our episodes come out. If you want further information, you can contact us on the NurseSharkAcademy.biz.